The Blue Hedgehog is coming back to the big screen. 2 years after the sequel Sonic 2 grossed over $400 million worldwide, the trio consisting of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles is returning. In Sonic the Hedgehog 3, they will have to face a very special opponent that fans of the video games have been eagerly waiting for. In this original, you can learn everything you need to know regarding the story, cast, and production of Sonic 3. Enjoy! Let's kick off with a brief recap of the second movie, before moving on to the potential storyline of Part 3. Sonic is attacked by the returned Robotnik and his new ally. This is Knuckles, who, driven by the search for the Master Emerald, has sided with Robotnik. Except for him, all the members of his Echidna tribe are extinct. Thus, he sees it as his calling to come into possession of this ancient and powerful relic. Fortunately, Sonic is rescued by his friend Miles Prower, alias Tails, and manages to escape from Robotnik's clutches. Eventually, Sonic manages to convince Tails to track down the mysterious relic, which is far too powerful to fall into wrong hands. In the meantime, Robotnik and Knuckles find the emerald in an underwater temple, where the two finally face off again. During the combat, Robotnik secretly escapes with the emerald and absorbs its power. Now Knuckles also realizes that he was only being used by Robotnik, and so from now on, he joins Sonic and Tails in the fight against the evil Doctor. He has meanwhile created a giant robot and is destroying Green Hills. The trio manages to get the Master Emerald back, although it shatters into the 7 Chaos Emeralds. After Sonic, through his new form as Super Sonic, is able to destroy the robot and apparently Robotnik as well, Knuckles reassembles the 7 stones into one, and the 3 new friends live happily ever after in the home of Tom and Maddie. There was a lot of speculation among fans beforehand about possible storylines for the new movie. Several theories were already circulating the web shortly after the sequel was announced. For example, about an appearance by Metal Sonic, who was developed by Dr. Robotnik to transfer Sonic's powers into a robot. Metal Sonic is considered one of the Blue Hedgehog's toughest opponents and has a firm goal, namely to destroy his living equivalent. The concept of Super Sonic, known from the games, could also play a bigger role. After all, he already used the Chaos Emeralds at the end of Part 2 to gain special powers. However, the mid-credits scene of the previous movie reveals what the third adventure will most likely be about. In this scene, the new antagonist for Part 3 is revealed, namely Shadow the Hedgehog. The character was first introduced in the video game Sonic Adventure 2 and is seen as an anti-hero created by Dr. Robotnik's grandfather. The character originated from Project Shadow, which was carried out around 50 years before the events in Sonic 2. It is a research program of the United Federation, which is based on today's United States and is the home country of the Gun military organization. The final product of this experiment are 2 creatures that are almost immortal, BioLizard and Shadow the Hedgehog. After the creation of Shadow, however, the project was scrapped due to its dangerous nature. Maria Robotnik was shot by a Gun soldier while trying to flee Shadow, which led to her grandfather becoming a villain who wanted to wipe out the world in revenge. For the movie Sonic the Hedgehog 3, this could mean that we will have to deal with Robotnik's grandfather and his granddaughter Maria in flashbacks at least. Incidentally, Maria is one of the few people Shadow is not hostile towards. Shadow looks very much like Sonic and is considered one of his greatest rivals. Although he often exhibits an arrogant attitude, he's also one of the most profound characters in the Sonic universe, revealing his vulnerable nature only to a few. Author Patrick Casey, who wrote the scripts for the first 2 films, describes Shadow as a worthy opponent for Sonic. He is driven by anger and vengeance and is therefore not simply a misguided character like Knuckles once was. This could make it all the more difficult for Sonic to deter Shadow from pursuing his plans in Part 3. With the introduction of Shadow, Rouge the Bad is also likely to make an appearance. She is a treasure hunter and spy for Gun who often works together with Shadow. Knuckles in particular is often the target of her attention. She seems to enjoy arguing with him, but is also after his Master Emerald. She enjoys using her feminine charms and could make an exciting sidekick for the villain Shadow in Sonic 3. In addition to the new foes, we can also see the appearance of Amy Rose. However, Amy is not the hero's enemy, but a bright and cheerful hedgehog girl who falls in love with Sonic. The first clues about her appearance in Sonic 3 were given during a Q&A session with screenwriters Patrick Casey and Josh Miller. When asked whether Amy might appear in the third part, the two did not answer with a no. Instead, they gave a rather open clue that her appearance was in the works. It's understandable that the two couldn't reveal much just a few weeks after the release of Sonic 2. Her appearance would certainly be a good fit for the sequel, so that there is another ally for the hero besides the new antagonists. The dynamic between her and her crush should make for some funny moments. Even though she sometimes has quite a few mood swings and is totally obsessed with her great love, she would surely provide active support to the existing trio in the fight against Shadow and the others. Despite her often innocent nature, she is a powerful ally who can certainly match her friends. One of her favorite weapons is the Pico Pico Hammer. used by Amy for self-defense, and which grows in size the angrier she gets. Ben Schwartz will once again be voicing the Blue Hedgehog. Idris Elba and Colleen O'Shaughnessy will also return in their roles as Knuckles and Tails. As for the humans, James Marsden will be back as Tom, and Tika Sumpter as his wife Maddie, along with her lovely sister Rachel, played by Natasha Rothwell. What will happen to Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, remains unclear. Carrey announced in an interview in 2022 that he intended to retire from acting after Sonic 2 for good. Some people hope that he might take on the challenge of a third part after all, but their expectations are rather low. With Shadow as a new antagonist from the past, Dr. Robotnik himself could actually be omitted somewhat smartly. After all, Shadow's story is more related to the family of Jim Carrey's character. The 61-year-old actor may be tempted to make a small cameo, but it is unlikely that he will make a bigger appearance. The two producers of the film series, Toby Asher and Neil Moritz, have already confirmed that they do not want to replace the character whatsoever. Not only would that be disrespectful towards Carrey, but it would also cause a huge shitstorm, which they wanted to avoid at all costs. We all remember the debacle of the first trailer for Part 1, where the look of the character was the cause of horror and a lot of ridicule online. Since Sonic 3 is supposed to focus more on the CGI characters, according to the producers, the human parts will presumably play a rather minor function anyway. Another factor that speaks against a return of Dr. Robotnik. Filming on Sonic 3 has been well underway since September 2023. In contrast to many other productions, work on the movie continued even during the actors' strike in Hollywood. The crew simply shot the scenes in which CGI characters in particular will make an appearance first, without the participation of the real actors. The filming location in London proved to be extremely beneficial, as there are no picketing guidelines in the UK that would have prevented production without the actors. As the strike has now ended, filming can now continue with the actors without any interruptions. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will be released in theaters on December 20th, 2024. Unlike the previous installments, the new Hedgehog adventure is therefore not coming in spring, but during the Christmas period. The first Sonic 3 trailer will thus likely be a while in coming. In the meantime, though, there is another Sonic production that fans can look forward to. Besides Sonic 3, the spin-off series Knuckles is awaiting us next year, for which Idris Elba will reprise the role of the titular character. It will be available for streaming on Paramount+, but an exact release date hasn't been set. It comes as no surprise that the popular character is getting his own spin-off. After all, Knuckles is already featured in as many as 101 video games. The popularity of the Sonic character also seems undiminished. Even before the 2020 and 2022 movies, there were an impressive 396 Sonic games and 5 animated series already. According to producer Toby Asher, should the two new projects prove to be successful, an entire Sonic cinematic universe is under construction, with further movies and series to follow. In an interview with comicbook.com, director Jeff Fowler also expressed his wish to direct a Smash Brothers movie in which the most famous characters in video game history would compete against each other. Well, that would be exciting! That was our latest update on Sonic 3. What do you expect from the third part? Are there any game elements that you have missed on the big screen so far? We look forward to your thoughts in the comments and would appreciate your thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time! Frozen is a worldwide phenomenon. The two movies are among Disney's biggest hits and are loved by all age groups. The first Frozen movie was released 10 years ago and dominated at the box office, as well as with the song Let It Go. The sequel, Frozen 2, was just as successful in 2019. Of course, this raises one question in particular. When will Frozen 3 be released? Production is already in full swing, and there is currently a good chance that Frozen 3 will hit theaters in 2025. Find out all the latest details about the sequel to the animated adventure in this preview. Of course, many people are wondering what the plot of Frozen 3 will consist of. Disney is still working on this at present, so there is no official information yet. Nevertheless, there are some plausible ways in which the story could continue. For example, there is a new love story in the pipeline. Queen Anna seems to have settled her life with Kristoff, but something also seems to be in the offing for Elsa in the second part, namely with the Northuldran girl Honeymaren. Elsa voice actress Idina Menzel already stated in the run-up to Frozen 2 that the relationship between the two seemed to point to a love story in the third part. And we all know, love is an open door. Hopefully we'll see Anna and Kristoff's wedding. After all, they got engaged at the end of the second part. Perhaps the two of them will also have royal offspring who will play a role in Frozen 3. Some speculate that Hans could make a comeback as a villain and is plotting to overthrow the two sisters while in exile. He is the youngest of the 12 brothers from the royal family of the Southern Isles. He will certainly not be able to enter Arendelle as easily, but the Enchanted Forest has opened up a new path for him. A very far-fetched but nevertheless exciting theory would be that Anna has secret powers that she doesn't know about yet. There is speculation on the internet that Anna may have the ability to control fire. The movies do provide some clues. For example, the fact that Anna has reddish hair, while Elsa has white hair to match her ice powers. Their personalities also match their abilities. While Elsa appears calm and reserved and appears somewhat cold, Anna is vibrant and impulsive. The interaction of ice and fire could lead to a lot of chaos, and this scenario would certainly make for a captivating plot. No matter how exactly the storyline turns out in the end, we are certain that Snowman Olaf is sure to make us laugh a little. As long as this fan favorite is around, hardly anything can go wrong, right? The movie is still in the early stages of production, but one major change is already known. Jennifer Lee, the screenwriter and director of the first two movies, will no longer be taking on these duties, and it remains a secret who will take her place. But she will surely not be leaving completely. As Disney's chief creative officer, she will probably take on an advisory role. She's already expressed her excitement about the current status of the movie to the press. There is still no official release date for Frozen 3, but there are many signs that the movie will be released in November 2025. Part 1 was released in theaters in November 2013, Part 2 came 6 years later in November 2019. Another 6 years later, we end up in November 2025. The timing would thus not only be traditional, but it would also fit perfectly. Early production is already in progress, and the movie would therefore still have about 2 years left until release. Besides, late fall is the ideal time to get into the Christmas spirit with the wintry Snow Queen. Before the new movie hits cinemas, another adventure from the Frozen world is being released, a 12-part podcast with the title Forces of Nature. This podcast picks up on the events of the second film and is intended to connect to Frozen 3. It is about the chaos caused by mysterious copper machines in the forest. Anna and Elsa are faced with the task of solving the mystery of these machines and receive support from old and new friends. There is a good chance that these new characters will also play a part in Frozen 3. Firstly, there is the curious Queen Disa, who approaches everything in an extremely scientific manner. Lord Wolfgang is the nephew of the Duke of Wesselton and is very helpful. There are also two magpies called Astrid and Magnus, who are anything but ordinary. The podcast started in October 2023, and new episodes are being released weekly. We are certain that the new characters will also be properly introduced in the feature film. One thing is clear, Frozen 3 is highly anticipated and is bound to be another big hit at the box office. What do you think of the movie series? Is Frozen delivering exactly what you expect from Disney movies? Or would you prefer a different approach to animated films? Let us know your views in the comments. The wave of live-action remakes continues. How to Train Your Dragon becomes a real film. With this, film distributor Paramount Pictures is following the footsteps of its competitor Disney and is trying to repeat the success of its popular film series. In our new original, we tell you everything about the production, the cast, and the possible plot of the Viking adventure. The How to Train Your Dragon film series was an all-around success. The three films generated worldwide box office takings of over $1.6 billion and also received several Academy Award nominations. Also, two series with the titles DreamWorks Dragons and Dragons the Nine Realms followed. 15 years after the start of the film series, a live-action film adaptation of the first part is now to follow in 2025. Hiccup will be played by 15-year-old actor Mason Thames, who reached his Hollywood breakthrough with the Apple TV Plus series For All Mankind and most recently starred alongside Ethan Hawke in the Scott Derrickson-directed horror film The Black Phone. At Thames' side will be Nico Parker. The daughter of well-known actress Thandiwe Newton was previously involved in the live-action adaptation of Dumbo and played the daughter of Pedro Pascal's character Joel in the acclaimed HBO series The Last of Us. In the How to Train Your Dragon remake, she will take on the role of Astrid, the girl Hiccup is in love with. Her casting caused some discussion online, as critical voices said the young actress was not white enough for the Viking role. It is not yet known who will play the other popular roles. For example, the role of Hiccup's father, Stoic the Vast. However, we can assume that in the upcoming months, we will steadily receive more information about the cast of the film. Like the animated film, the live-action film adaptation will be based on the similarly named children's book. Currently, it can be assumed that the live-action film will be based on part 1 of the animated series. The adventure film, released in 2010, took us into the world of the Vikings and told the story of the weak but clever son of the chief Hiccup, who lives in the Viking village of Berk. This village is regularly attacked by dragons, which in the Viking world are considered as vermin and brutal monsters. One day, Hiccup wants to prove to the village that he also has the potential to be a strong Viking, and as a result of another attack, he shoots down a Night Fury. This type of dragon is considered particularly dangerous. However, when he wants to check the success of his shooting, he finds out that the dragon Toothless is by no means a brutal monster, but a lovely creature. From this point onwards, an unusual friendship develops between the two, which Hiccup must keep secret from his family. As in the original film, Dean DeBlois will be the director and write the script, so the remake should be in the very best hands, even if this is his very first live-action film adaptation. The camera will be handled by none other than Roger Deakins. He is considered one of the best-known cinematographers in Hollywood and received an Academy Award for his work on Denis Villeneuve's science fiction sequel Blade Runner 2049 and the war film 1917. The filming was originally scheduled to begin this summer, but that is now likely to be delayed for a while. The past actors and writers' strike for better working conditions paralyzed all of Hollywood, and with blocking numerous productions for months. Whether the announced US start of How to Train Your Dragon on March 14, 2025 can thus be kept will be revealed in the future. If the film ultimately proves to be a success, we can very likely expect new adaptations of How to Train Your Dragon 2 and How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World. What do you think of live-action remakes? Are there any remakes that would convince you? Or should classics like How to Train Your Dragon be left as they are? We're looking forward to your opinion in the comments. This news hit the headlines. At the beginning of the year, Disney boss Bob Iger announced that a sequel to Zootopia was being made. This means that 7 years after Part 1, fans can look forward to a reunion with Judy Hopps, Nick Wilde, Flash, and all the other charming residents of Zootopia. So let's take a look at the animated adventure together and get excited about Zootopia 2. The setting of the first movie was a huge city populated by animals. The main characters of the story are Judy Hopps, an ambitious rabbit lady who wants to realize her dream of becoming a police officer, and Nick Wilde, a cunning fox with a penchant for shady deals. The unlikely pair meet by chance, and together uncover a dark plot by the deputy mayor, who is turning innocent animals into wild beasts. During their investigation, Judy and Nick not only overcome prejudices, but also develop an unexpected friendship. The movie deals with serious subjects such as mistrust and cooperation between different groups, while at the same time being incredibly funny and really making the most of the animal setting. The iconic teaser trailer with Flash the Sloth alone probably attracted countless viewers to the movie theaters. In Zootopia 2, we can most likely look forward to the return of Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. The exact plot remains a mystery so far, but it is highly probable that the two cops will once again be faced with unsolved crimes. The city surely offers enough potential for thrilling adventures. The sequel could provide further insights into the animal metropolis and the relationships between the different animal species. Many fans are hoping to see more animal districts and learn more about the special way in which the inhabitants live together. Ever since the first Zootopia film, viewers have been asking themselves a somewhat tricky question. Are Nick and Judy dating? On the one hand, the story fulfills the typical cliché of a Hollywood romance, the rebellious couple who discover their affection for each other through an adventure. On the other hand, the two belong to entirely different animal species. It is doubtful that the makers will stir up such a debate about Zootopia 2 just to satisfy some fan fantasies. However, we can very well imagine that one of the two will become involved in a romantic relationship. After all, that would be an interesting challenge for their friendship. Voice actors Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman are expected to once again provide Nick and Judy with their distinctive voices. There is currently no information about any other roles, but the sequel will certainly introduce some new and exciting characters. After Zootopia grossed over $1 billion at the box office in 2016 and won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, many were surprised that Disney waited 7 years to officially announce the sequel. In the meantime, the miniseries Zootopia Plus was released on Disney Plus in November 2022. This 6-part short film series introduced new adventures in the City of Animals and showed that there is still great interest among viewers. The second movie will be directed by Byron Howard and Rich Moore, as was the case with the first part. That leaves one question. When can we expect to watch Zootopia 2? The movie is only in the beginning stages of production, so we don't expect it to be released in cinemas anytime before 2025. What do you think of Zootopia? Are you as excited about the sequel as we are? And what are your guesses as to what could happen in Part 2? We look forward to reading your theories. Toy Story 3 had a magnificent ending, and every fan was satisfied with the supposed finale of the series. But things turned out differently, and another movie followed. 9 years later, Toy Story 4 was released and broke all attendance records. The story was mediocre, but they had at least found a worthy ending for Woody, Buzz, and their friends once again. However, Disney seems to have other plans, as Toy Story 5 was announced this spring. No one knows exactly how the story will continue, since the toy friends actually parted ways at the end of the fourth part. But there are already some very interesting theories circulating on the internet about how the story could continue, and we've summarized the best ones for you in this video. Toy Story 5 offers plenty of opportunities for the creators, but they are also associated with risks. The focus could be on new toys or on already established ones like Jessie. However, it's the friendship between Woody and Buzz that made the first 4 movies into the classics they are. Doing without them would run the risk of losing the old fans. Well, luckily, they have confirmed that the duo will be back. Tim Allen also announced via Twitter that he will once again provide Buzz's voice. One theory revolves around the protagonist's past. Toy Story 5 could partly function as a prequel with multiple storylines. In Toy Story 2, we already learned quite a bit about Woody's earlier life, and Lightyear dealt with the Buzz character's origins. But of course, there is much more to discover, such as who Woody's first owner was. While this narrative approach would open up entirely new worlds for us, it could also become too complex for the family-friendly franchise. Many people are unaware that Toy Story 2 was originally supposed to have a completely different storyline. Moreover, the original plot of Toy Story 3 was scrapped when Disney tried to distance itself from Pixar. At the time, they gave control of the Toy Story franchise to the now-defunct company Circle 7 Animation. Toy Story 5 could therefore resume the actual plot of Toy Story 2. This one centered on a malfunction of Andy's Buzz Lightyear action figure that results in the toy being shipped to Taiwan, where he encounters other Star Command toys. This idea doesn't seem so far-fetched, given the introduction of other Star Command members in Lightyear, if they're trying to make a connection to the spin-off film. Bonnie was never really able to make up for the void left by Andy in Toy Story 4 with fans. Many couldn't believe their eyes when he handed over his toys to the girl in Toy Story 3 and headed off to college. So, in Toy Story 5, this very storyline could be revisited. Andy could return and take back his toys, perhaps not to play with them himself, but he could leave them to his children. Woody, Buzz, and friends bringing a family together. Doesn't that sound like a very heartwarming and fitting storyline for the franchise? Each movie in the Toy Story franchise introduced at least one new toy, and sometimes more than one, be it Jessie and Bullseye, who appear in Andy's room in Toy Story 2, or Forky, whom Bonnie created in Toy Story 4. The latter even got his own series on Disney+. So, it would be entirely possible to make a completely new storyline in which the earlier protagonist would only have a minor role. However, chances are high that fans will criticize such an attempt. We have already experienced this in the 2022 film Lightyear, where Disney substituted the voice of Tim Allen with that of Chris Evans, which did not go down well at all with the fans. Still, a Forky-centric plot would be a possibility, for example. Similar things have already been done before. For example, in Shrek with the Puss in Boots films, and in Frozen with the short films of Olaf. It remains unclear, however, whether Forky really has what it takes to replace Woody and Buzz. The 2022 movie Lightyear flopped at the box office. However, it did manage to finally tell us the background story of Buzz. At the beginning of the movie, it was revealed that this movie was actually the reason why Andy Davis fell in love with the Space Ranger in 1995 and desperately wanted his action figure. Toy Story 5 could take a similar path. The film could be Woody's Roundup, starring Woody, Jessie, the Prospector, and Bullseye. That would be the movie Andy's dad saw that made him want a Cowboy Woody doll so badly. Images of Woody's Roundup can be seen over and over again in the Toy Story movies. One problem here, however, would be to include Buzz's part. He would then probably appear more on the sidelines, for example, as a narrator. Pixar has always shown a talent for emotional endings. Parts 3 and 4 are the prime examples here. The moviegoers were always left with tears in their eyes. That's why we expect a touching ending for Toy Story 5 as well. We are particularly fond of a little fanfiction. Imagine the toys changing hands again as part of the new adventure. Then, at the end of the movie, the father of the new child would show up and notice that these toys look just like the ones he had as a kid. Of course, this would be none other than Andy. This ending would definitely have tear-jerking potential and would once again provide a nice conclusion to the film series. Those were the most interesting theories around Toy Story 5. Which one do you think is the best? Or do you even have one in mind that we hadn't thought of yet? Let us know in the comments. One of the best known and most successful video games of all time is being made into a movie. Minecraft has sold over 300 million copies and continues to excite countless gamers. So we are all the more excited about the movie adaptation. In our new original episode, we provide you with all the latest information on the plot, cast, and production of the live-action adaptation. Warner Bros. Announced a Minecraft movie back in 2014 and got millions of players excited. This anticipation was soon dampened, however. The project experienced several delays and cast changes behind the scenes, causing the project to lose momentum. Meanwhile, the movie is getting back on track. A release date has been set, and more details are coming to light. The story of Minecraft. Originally, there were several ideas for the plot of the Minecraft movie. One, for example, focused on the concept of a number of people working creatively in a digital landscape, just like in the original game. Another story option is more likely, though. The plot revolves around a young girl and a group of special adventurers. They have to protect their beautiful and blocky overworld from the evil Ender Dragon, who leaves behind a path of destruction on his way. Similar to the Super Mario Bros. Movie, we can expect to see many locations from the game featured in the movie, including different biomes and the hell-like Nether Dimension. The Ender Dragon itself usually awaits the player in a surreal place called The End. We are excited to find out what the world of Minecraft will be like in the movie. After all, the look of the game is very unique. Further details about the plot are not known at present, but we can assume that fun and creativity will be the main focus of the movie. After all, the world of Minecraft offers countless opportunities to tell a captivating story, as numerous spin-offs of the game have already proven. We are particularly looking forward to the implementation of the strange creatures. Above all, of course, the iconic Creeper and the Enderman. The Minecraft production has already gone through a turbulent time. In 2014, it was announced that Free Guy director Sean Levy would be adapting a script by Kieran and Michelle Mulroney, who were already behind Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. However, due to creative differences with Mojang, the game's creators, the project was put on hold temporarily. Almost 2 years later, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia star Rob McElhenney was to take over the movie and write a screenplay together with Jason Fuchs. According to insider information, the story of the movie at the time focused heavily on the open-world aspects of the game. But this also came to nothing. Shortly before the project was ready to be made, the studio management changed. McElhenney, who left the production in 2018, was succeeded by director Peter Sollett, but he too was unable to stay with the project for long. In the end, the choice fell on Jared Hess, who had already won over audiences with the comedy Napoleon Dynamite and is considered a promising talent. The final script was written by Chris Bowman and Hubble Palmer, who had previously worked with Hess on the comedy Masterminds. Filming for Minecraft was originally scheduled to begin in August 2023. Due to the actors and writers' strike, however, there were a number of setbacks. Now, filming is scheduled to begin in New Zealand in early 2024. The Minecraft movie has been able to secure some celebrity actors. In April 2022, for example, it was announced that Jason Momoa is to take on a starring role in the adventure film. Momoa is considered one of the most sought-after blockbuster actors in Hollywood. He was already featured in Fast X in 2023 and made his return as the main hero of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom at the end of the year. Alongside Momoa, The Mandalorian and The Last of Us star Pedro Pascal has now been confirmed for the role of Steve. The popular actor had initially hesitated to play a part in the frequently postponed project. However, the finished script managed to convince him that the Minecraft film has a good story to tell. According to Deadline magazine, Wednesday star Emma Myers will also be involved. In keeping with the story, we are actually expecting the female protagonist here. Also in the cast are What We Do in the Shadows star Matt Berry, Orange is the New Black actress Danielle Brooks as Dawn, and Sebastian Eugene Hansen as Henry. Distributor Warner Bros. Intends to release Minecraft in movie theaters on April 4th, 2025. Let's hope everything runs smoothly from now on. We are particularly excited about the look of the movie. How do you imagine the perfect adaptation of the original game? Share your preferences in the comments, and like this video if you enjoyed our little preview. See you next time! Netflix enjoyed tremendous success this year with its live-action adaptation of the anime series One Piece. The new adaptation thrilled fans of the original as well as new viewers. Next year, the streaming service will be responsible for another live-action adaptation, namely Avatar: The Last Airbender. Here, in our new original, we give you all the latest details on the plot, the cast, and the production. So stay tuned! Currently, it can be assumed that the adaptation will be based on the anime. In Avatar: The Last Airbender, we are presented with a fictional world that is split into 4 nations, and is otherwise based on historical East Asia. The nations are populated by people who have mastered the bending of one of the 4 elements and can use them in battle. The so-called Avatar can control all elements, and thus keep the various powers in balance. However, he is considered missing, and so the Fire Nation involves the remaining nations in a war. One day, the siblings Katara and Sokka find the young Avatar Aang in a block of ice and free him. At first, he only knows the art of airbending, and so the 3 must set out on a dangerous journey. The still quite naive Aang must learn to master the remaining elements so that he can stop the Fire Nation. The first season of the Netflix series could very well be based on the first season of the anime original, and, if successful, also tell the stories of the other seasons. The original series consists of 3 seasons with over 62 episodes. The first season of the new series is expected to comprise 8 episodes. Albert Kim, who has already worked as a producer on Sleepy Hollow, will also be involved in the Avatar series, and promised in an official press statement that the new approach of Avatar: The Last Airbender will be an authentic portrayal of Asian and indigenous characters. He also wanted to carefully transition the animated series and deliver a multifaceted, new visual dimension to this fantastic world with the live-action series. Roseanne Liang, who already worked on the action film Shadow in the Cloud with Chloe Grace Moritz, will be among those sitting in the director's chair. Swamp Thing veteran Michael Goy and Game of Thrones director Jabbar Rassani will also be directing individual episodes. For the production, Netflix teamed up with VFX studio Pixomondo. They designed a stage that is equipped with over 3,000 LED panels and has a surface area of 23,000 square meters. The same technology was already used in The Mandalorian, and its effects were impressive. The soundtrack is by Japanese composer Takeshi Furukawa, who has already provided music for a number of movies and series, including Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Despite much anticipation, the production is also viewed with skepticism. M. Night Shyamalan's first live-action adaptation, 2010's The Last Airbender, is to this day considered a huge flop. The announcement that the creators of the original series left the Netflix production in 2020 as a result of creative differences is likewise unlikely to be a good sign. The Avatar live-action series comes with a mostly unknown cast. 11-year-old young actor Gordon Cormier will play the role of Aang. Cormier has already won over audiences with the series adaptation of Stephen King's novel The Stand and is regarded as a talented young actor. Kiowentio Tarbell plays Katara, while her brother Sokka is played by Ian Ousley. On the side of the Fire Nation is actor Dallas Liu as Prince Zuko, who hunts down the Avatar. Fire Lord Ozai, meanwhile, is embodied by Daniel Dae Kim, who had a role in the remake of Hellboy. Commander Zhao is played by Ken Leung, who some may remember from Rush Hour. The role of the cozy Uncle Iroh is played by Sun Hyung Lee, who also appeared in the Star Wars series Ashoka and The Mandalorian as Captain Carson Teva. The role of Azula, Zuko's mean sister, is cast boldly. The character is played by newcomer Elizabeth Yu, who is celebrating her debut with the series. If Avatar proves to be a success, then questions will soon arise as to who will portray the Earthbender Toph, who will also be joining the cast in the second season and is considered an absolute fan favorite. But the cast so far already gives fans plenty to discuss as to whether the chosen actors fit the drawn role models. An official release date for the Avatar: The Last Airbender live-action series is not available yet. Still, Netflix announced during the fan event Tudum that the series will debut in 2024. Until then, we look forward to more insights into the project, especially the first trailer for the Avatar series. What are your thoughts on the adaptation of the animated classic? Are you optimistic about the project, or do you foresee another disaster? Let us know in the comments.